Live from WTOC, the Southeast news leader. The News Now starts on WTOC Plus.
Thanks for joining us this afternoon for the news on WTOC Plus. We start with an alert as Chatham County Police are looking for a runaway teen. 15-year-old Isabel Hollingsworth was last seen around 10 p.m. Saturday night. Police believe she left on her own, but do have concerns for her health and safety. Isabel is 5'3", about 100 pounds, and has brown eye and brown hair. Anyone with information on where she is urged to contact police. We have a traffic alert for you today, as you may see construction on some major interstates over the next several weeks. The Georgia Department of Transportation has begun interstate lane closures in Chatham County. The work includes widening Interstate 16 and reconstructing the I-16 and I-95 interchange. GDOT says the closures are a must to allow for widening activities along I-16, as well as bridge work at the I-16 and I-516 interchange. Drivers should expect occasional double-lane closures. Happening today, the city of Statesboro will host a public information meeting on a proposed fire service fee. The meeting will be held at 6 p.m. in the City Hall Council chambers. The city has contracted an engineering firm to research if a fire service fee would be beneficial for funding long-term fire and emergency response services. The meeting will explain what a fire service fee is, why the city is evaluating the option, and how a fee could be structured and applied. Everyone's invited to attend, and if approved, this fee would go into effect on July 1st, 2026. Our Augustina Malus will be at the meeting, and she'll have updates this evening on WTOC. And the Development Authority of Bryan County will meet tomorrow to discuss a proposed nickel refinery that's prompted pushback from some residents. During tomorrow's meeting, the DABC may consider a bond package or other economic incentives related to the proposed nickel refinery. They are a separate body from the Bryan County Board of Commissioners. Last week, the board called a special meeting saying that they needed to investigate environmental concerns related to the project. Tomorrow's meeting will be at 8 a.m. at the Bryan County Admin Building on Captain Matthew Freeman Drive in Richmond Hill. If you're interested, you can contact the DABC to sign up for public comment ahead of that meeting tomorrow. Well, the search for Nancy Guthrie is now in its second week with no public indications of real progress. A ransom note indicates a second deadline for later today. CBS's Andres Gutierrez is at the scene in Tucson, Arizona.
A sheriff deputy stationed round the clock outside Nancy Guthrie's Tucson home for security at the request of her children.
We received your message, and we understand.
Savannah Guthrie and her siblings face a second ransom deadline set for later today. Savannah posted this plea over the weekend.
We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Former FBI Assistant Director Stephen Jensen says this video message stood out to him.
The tone is very direct, and it strikes that balance of we're not taking this lightly, and we want our mom back at any cost.
Investigators say they're working every lead, returning to daughter Annie Guthrie's house as well as Nancy's home over the weekend, where drone video appears to show them searching a septic tank. They're also canvassing several gas stations in the neighborhood. They're trying to track down any suspicious vehicles that may have been in the area.
We pray for Nancy's rescue. We pray for her release.
The pastor at Nancy Guthrie's church prayed for her on Sunday. Local residents are doing the same.
My prayers and the flowers, and I hope it makes them feel a little bit better. We will get her back. We will get her back good and healthy and fine.
So far, authorities have not identified any suspects or persons of interest. Andres Gutierrez, CBS News, Tucson.
Just absolutely tragic story as that search enters day 9 now. Back here in the Peach State, a new ICE facility is coming to Middle Georgia, and it's raising concerns among city leaders, residents, and some human rights advocates in Social Circle, Georgia. The new facility is expected to house up to 10,000 people, more than doubling the city's current population. City officials say the federal government hasn't contacted them or asked for any input. The city says they do not support an ICE facility, citing concerns of water and sewage capacity, also not having enough police and firefighters. Last week, city officials met with Congressman Mike Collins, who advised the city of the Department of Homeland Security's upcoming purchase. Those also opposing the facility fear taxes could increase for residents and worry about community run-ins with ICE.
Independent of what you think about the politics, whether you believe in Donald Trump or don't believe in Donald Trump, it should make everybody upset and outraged, quite frankly. So I don't know how much clearer it could be that the government is not serving any of us. Again, despite our beliefs, our political persuasions.
Congressman Collins told city staff housing at the facility is expected to begin in April. Well, taking a live look now at Capitol Hill on the right of your screen, where Congress has just days to reach a compromise on immigration enforcement reforms before funding lapses for the Department of Homeland Security. Republicans and Democrats are still far apart on some of the key proposals putting agencies under DHS like TSA, the Coast Guard, and FEMA at risk. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
The ball is in the court right now of the Republicans.
Facing a Friday deadline, Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill appear far from a deal on immigration enforcement reforms after federal agents fatally shot 2 U.S. citizens in Minneapolis.
Either they're going to agree to dramatically reform the way in which ICE and other immigration enforcement agencies are conducting themselves, or they're making the explicit decision to shut down the Coast Guard, shut down FEMA, and shut down TSA.
While there's been bipartisan agreement around requiring body cameras, there's pushback to other proposed changes, such as prohibiting masks and tightening rules around warrants. The Trump administration has relied on administrative warrants signed by immigration officials, not judges.
I want to give law enforcement every tool they need to go out and apprehend these convicted criminals that are loose in our community. To me, that makes a lot of sense. Why you would want to shackle your own law enforcement from keeping our community safe makes no sense to me.
The standoff on Capitol Hill comes as a new internal DHS document obtained by CBS News is shedding more light on the backgrounds of those arrested.
The document reveals less than 14% of nearly 400,000 immigrants arrested by ICE in 2025 had charges or convictions for violent crimes.
We're focusing on the criminals, we're focusing on killers, we're focusing, but ultimately they all broke the law. Some can, if they do it in a certain way, they can go out, they can come back.
The document also shows nearly 40% of those arrested did not have any criminal record and were only accused of civil immigration offenses. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Well, we have an update to a story we first brought you this morning on WTOC Plus. We have new details on what led to the arrest of Atlanta Falcons linebacker James Pierce Jr. in Florida over the weekend. He was arrested Saturday, accused of attacking his girlfriend, WNBA player Rickea Jackson. New records obtained by our sister station say police got a call that Pierce was following Jackson in his car. When police responded, they say Pierce hit a police officer while trying to get away from police. Pierce appeared in court yesterday, and a judge ordered him to stay away from Jackson. He is out of jail on a $20,000 bond. Pierce was a first-round draft pick by the Falcons in last year's NFL draft. Well, today, local breweries are under the Gold Dome at the state capitol in Atlanta, pushing for changes to Georgia's beer distribution laws. Brewers say current regulations are causing them to lose money. Now, the state's Craft Brewers Guild is pushing for changes. They want to get rid of a cap on direct-to-consumer sales, which they say is outdated. The brewers argue the reforms are critical after 15 breweries closed in Georgia in 2024. Critics, however, warn the changes could upend the current distribution system. This is the second time lawmakers have considered this change. And finally, this is a pretty cool story. You may know Lift Every Voice and Sing as the Black National Anthem. The song was written back in the early 1900s, but did you know it has roots right here in Georgia? Well, take a look at this story.
On the campus of Clark Atlanta, there's an extra sense of pride when Clark Atlanta's choir sings Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Every single time I hear it, I get so empowered just being an African American.
Chaney Puller, a senior, regularly performs this song. She takes great pride in knowing that the song was written by an alumnus.
James Weldon Johnson, he actually wrote the lyrics for the song, so to sing it, it's just a privilege and it's something that we all cherish.
Johnson originally wrote the song that would come to be known as the Black National Anthem, first as a poem. The song, written 126 years ago, depicts the struggles of blacks during that time.
Sometimes our blackness wasn't represented enough, and just taking that power back.
This was written during the time of lynchings. This was not a time of peace, of racial peace. This was a time of upheaval.
Clark Atlanta University's president, Dr. George French Jr., says James Weldon Johnson graduated in 1894 when Clark Atlanta University was then Atlanta University. After Johnson wrote Lift Every Voice and Sing, his brother transformed the poem into a song.
They understood that we needed symbols of hope as a people. We need something that would inspire us.
The original intent for the song was for a former U.S. president.
And he wrote it for President Lincoln upon the celebration of President Lincoln's birthday.
Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation that freed slaves.
He wrote the song, and he wrote it actually when he was the principal of a school in Jacksonville, Florida.
Clark Atlanta University's historian says that the song has stood the test of time.
Not only is that song a part of the African American community, now that it's sung at sporting events, it has opened up the world just to show who we are as a people.
Facing the rising sun.
Knowing the history behind it and knowing that I'm going to a university that, you know, has all this black excellence, it's really inspiring.
All right, and notably, the song's always sung before the Super Bowl for a number of years now. Coco Jones sang the rendition during last night's Super Bowl 60 game where the Seahawks just thrashed the New England Patriots. Was not a great game, but is what it is. All right, with that, we're going to wrap things up here for the news on WTOC Plus. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We'll be back in just about 15 minutes for the First Alert Weather Show with Chief Meteorologist Dave Turley taking a look at your forecast for the rest of the week. And, of course, we'll be back at the top of the hour at 2 o'clock with another round of stories. We'll actually join the Brewer rally at the Georgia Capitol live during that 2 o'clock update. She talked about earlier, but we'll be hearing from some of those local brewers talking for a change in Georgia's beer distribution laws. Again, that'll be at the top of the hour during the news on WTOC Plus at 2 p.m. Thanks for watching, and here's Local News Live.